Hey there, YouTube. Welcome on back to Artichoke Dip. My name is Rob, solo tabletop gamer, and I'm going to be getting into a new game and starting a new series. Workboard left off, and I left it off on a cliffhanger. The characters have just escaped that goblin encampment area, and they're returning to the village for a few reasons. One, treasure that has been collected and it has to be appraised. Two, to gather resources that they really desperately need before returning back out. So I decided, rather than just leaving this area as this vague piece on the map to go to, I wanted to flesh it out a little bit better and really add more resources for me, I'm going to say, as I open this map up more and I allow it to go more. I'm glad you guys have enjoyed it, and there will be more in the future. Make no doubts about that. But if you remember, I mentioned the way I would game was I would play a game system until I got so sick of it, so just burned out on it, that I would shelve it and not get back to it. And that's not, in my opinion, for me, it's not a good thing to do. It more or less cheapens the experience, if you ask me, rather than short little micro bursts along the way of different game systems to give you more flavor into your gaming, if this makes sense to you. So before I go any further, let me just get out there. If you just stumbled upon my channel, you're interested in gaming, just got into gaming, you're interested in solitaire gaming, don't forget to click the like button. If you like this, it'll bring more gaming content your way. And if you're new here, you just stumble upon my channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe, followed by the bell icon, so when I do upload a new video, you're going to get a notification. So with that out of the way, I wanted to get into just a little bit. I'm not going to get into the actual building of it. That may be reserved for a different video, because I have this awesome map set up in front of me right now. You can't see it. It's off the camera's view right here. I will show it before I get into it, and get into the different game system I am currently playing, Castles and Crusades, and that's going to be out of this box set right here, in the shadow of Aufstrag. So I have been playing this on and off for a while, and I've finally reached a point to where, well, let's just jump on over to I have reached the part in the map to where I'm going to be exploring the ruins of crusades. Now, the way this box set is set up, and I love this about these box sets and what Castles and Crusades do, is it's really, really a breath of fresh air, for the fact that, just like the older campaign modules, where they would give you enough information to be able to create the adventure, everything else is left up to you to be able to add everything else in. And two, this is going to give me another unique opportunity to introduce another concept to you, and that's using pre-published adventures and not being held to this very strict narrative plot line, and how to change that up a little bit, how to take it, and considering you're a solitaire player, take it into different areas that you want to take it into, and using the actual published part as the backdrop, if that'll make sense. So where my characters are currently at on the map is in Fallow Hills, Now, I could try to show you on this. This is a zoomed in picture of it. It's a black and white picture. The actual map of the area, it would be like just this microscopic little drop in the bucket, if you would. You wouldn't even be able to see it. I did find it on this map. It took me a while to locate it, but even then, it was kind of hard to see. But just to give you an idea, dun, 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 dun. This is the overall scope of the area that, well, is left up to us to go through. So as you can see, this is a quite lengthy of a campaign setting. It's going to provide months, if not years, to get through. For me, probably years. I get one day a week to where it's reserved for me to sit down and really enjoy to engage with this and do what I want to do. So of course it's going to take me a lot longer to get through it than people that may have multiple days a week to devote to this at different sessions at a time. Of course they're going to get through it quicker. But nevertheless, currently on the zoomed in area on this map, I can put my finger, now there it is, put my finger underneath it to show you on this map where I currently am by this river. And I am going to have to cross over into this region right here. Now, with that in mind, let's get into the heading. Let's read what the heading has to say. It says, Cuthrad Andel is the remains of an ancient elvish watchtower. It was constructed long ago before the coming of the Horned One, and even before the founding of the kingdom of El-Liosh. It was built as a prophetic device and is one of many such towers that hid within its locals the directions to the tree of life. It was also built with the knowledge it would one day be laid to waste, and only after the fall of the one who razed it would its prophetic magic become apparent. It is said that time destroys all things but the elves. So this is a little bit of the background to the area that is currently unknown to my characters. They're just trying to cross the river. And I'm going to show you how I did that, what I added into that to be able to make it more so mine rather than just... And the unique thing is, they even put it in here that they don't tell you how to cross the river. They just tell you, in order to get here, your characters have to figure out how to cross the river. So, reading a little bit further on into it, I wanted to get into the heading toward explains where I sat down and imagined this, how I could replicate this with a 3D map on my game table. Okay, here it is. It says, few tread near this place now, and even orcs and goblins fear it, for the remains the bewitchments of ancient elvish magic. The goblins have even named it Cuthrad Andel, the Tower of Waste, having no knowledge of its original name. The ruins are located, this is important, on a hilltop about 1 mile east of a section of the Imperial Road and near the southern edge of the Follow Hills, which is where my characters currently are at. At night, careful observations of the horizon show a bluish glow coming from this direction. The tower ruins glow is bright blue at night, the blue of the first royal house of the first elves. It goes a little bit further, and this is really what gave me the information to build my map. And I am going somewhere with all of this. The whole purpose behind these videos is I decided I could kill two birds with one stone. Not only could I have my gaming session and enjoy it, but I could do a video as well, and in the same time teach you out there that may be struggling with solo RPG ways to actually get more out of it if you're a solitaire player, rather than just being a talking head on YouTube and bumbling about my playthroughs and giving you ideas that way. I think you get more out of it by watching. So let's move on to the other part, and then I'm going to show you the map and how I laid it out and what I did. So travel to the tower is dangerous, as many fae and other creatures of ancient origin now guard it. They do not care who approaches, nor for what reason, but only try to prevent anyone from getting to it. On the way to the tower, the following 6 events occur. Okay, so we haven't got to that point yet. It does have a table with 6 possible events that are possibly occur as they draw closer to it. So as we could see, setting this up, we already have an idea. It's on the Follow Hills. You have to cross a river, but it doesn't tell you how to cross the river. Your characters have to figure out how to cross the river. Well, I was able to take care of that. And as we draw closer to the river, this is a dangerous place and it's protected by the fae. So that kind of got my imagination turning. Okay, if this place is this formidable ancient place of elven magics and everything else, the landscape should reflect that as too, if in fact it is in ruins. So let's get to the map, and I'm going to show you how I laid it out, how I did it, and then I'm going to get into starting the game and get some gaming done. All right, folks, so these will be the 3 models I will be using for Castles and Crusades to represent my different characters. We'll get into this in a little bit more here in a moment. But just so you know, character models. Let's take a quick just overview of the map. I have represented the river currently right here by these water tiles. A couple of access points for them to try to cross the river. And then what I did as well is I have utilized dice and markers to show the waypoints along the way. So after this area is completed, I can remove the marker, leave the dice in place, and it'll show the areas along the map that have already been discovered and completed, leading all the way up to the hills to the ancient elvish tower, which of course will be a completely different map. Those will be ruins at that point, but we have not got there yet. So this is how, just reading out of the description that they give you for the encounter, I decided to represent this on my board in the various different directions I could take it in, and just the numerous amounts of other encounters that they can go through. So real quick, they're going to have 2 possible areas that they can cross the river by. One that doesn't look like it was, you know, looks like the ravages of time have not done it too well. Another one that's still there. Through the heavy forested trail area that I imagined into these decrepit old forest, represented by this abandonment of a long forgotten elvish establishment that has been sitting vacant over the years, leading all the way up to the path that goes up into the rocky hilltop to the tower itself. So once they enter into the tower right here, at that point, that's going to be a different map, and that's going to be a different story at this time. But now you can see it. Let's jump on into it and let's get the game started. Okay, so the characters have been traveling to the Fallow Hills, and let me just quickly get into the last heading I have put in my game journal. And I want to do a video on this too, because I've seen people ask this question: hey, how do you track the events of your game sessions and not have it become just a complete journaling or story writing event? And how I like to do this, and I have found it's the most effective way to do it when you solo RPG, is play through your session. Don't even worry about your note taking, nothing. Play your session completely through, totally 100% organic. Then when you're done, just write down the cliff notes of what you are the most important parts. And I'm going to give you an example of this. If you were to play in a large group, and let's say your game session lasted 2 hours, you had several encounters, and you played through, you're going to remember the highlights of those encounters, some of the best points. You're not going to remember every single dice roll. You're not going to remember every single little detail because, well, in the grand scheme of things, they just may not be that important as you may think at the time, because later on, as the story progresses and moves on, there's going to be other story points that are far more significant. They just did not seem like it at the time, which is why I say wait till your game session is completely over and then put in your story notes, and then it'll give you time to sit back, reflect on it, and you're going to be able to see everything with a clear field of vision on it than you are directly at the moment. So the characters have reached the Fallow Hills, and there was a group of gnolls that have been tracking them from afar. And the gnolls keep watch from a nearby natural cave. They prepare to attack the camp at night, and I had settled that. The scene set up at the base of the waterfall area, plenty of fresh water, and there's plenty of fish for them to eat where they did not have to tackle into their rations. On a roll 2 through 3 and a 1d10, the gnolls encountered on a roll 1 on a 1d10 random encounter. Main objective: locate safe area to cross the river to discover the ruins of Crusade on Dell. So this is where my story is going to begin. I just have the cliff notes of what I need to know. They are heading to cross the river. This is going to be, they are breaking camp in the early morning. So first things first that I have to get out of the way, and that very first thing is going to be, are the gnolls encountered? So on a roll of 2 through 3 on a 1d10, the gnolls will be encountered. So let's get that out of the way and see if the gnolls are even going to be a problem at this point. I've rolled a 3. Yes, they will be. Okay, so before we even get into the main map area, let's move the camera a little over this way. We'll set it up here. Set this like so. Say we have a fire like that into the camp. And I'm going to see which character is currently on watch, because this is going to be the last stretch of the evening before sunrise. So will it be the half-elf illusionist? Let's roll a percentile dice. 81%. Pretty high that he's on watch. What about the barbarian? 13%. No, barbarian will be resting. He's already done his shift. Last but not least, the ranger. 31%. Okay. So it will be my illusionist. So, as the other two characters are resting for the evening, the illusionist is making the rounds of the camp, checking the area out. I'm going to say the illusionist pauses for a moment to gaze at the fire and the embers and just kind of reflect on possibly what the next day shall bring. Unbeknownst to them, I'm going to roll a d6 2 times. I want to see how many feet these encounters truly are. 2. So 60 feet from the location. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 60. We'll say out here, even though it's not on the map, we will place 2 of the gnolls. Boom, boom. The gnolls are going to begin to move in to the area of the camp. Now, I'm going to do a roll-off of d20s between the gnolls and the illusionist. See who gets the highest roll as to who acts first. That'll be a 12 for my illusionist. Okay. Let me see. I think I'm just going to use a good old-fashioned save throw for my wisdom. And my DC for this will be 12. And I'm going to see if this is going to work out for Phineas U. Smith. So I get a +1. I gotta have a 12 or better to hit this. Dice tray, thank you very much. 8. No. So the illusionist stops for a moment, and Phineas is kind of deep within the thoughts of what the next day is going to bring, just gazing at the fire and the hypnotic gaze of the way the flames flicker and the shadows being cast around the surrounding area, that Phineas is completely unaware of the fact that the gnolls are moving in onto their camp's location. Now, let's flip to the stats of the gnolls. Okay. So the special that they do have is gnolls do have dark vision of 60 feet, so they can see clearly, obviously, the target quite well. They don't need to roll anything for that. Considering that Phineas did fail the save to see if she could hear the gnolls moving in, she is oblivious. So now it will be the gnoll's turn. I do have a gnoll archer and, of course, a gnoll melee character here. So go by weapons. I can have my weapon chart right over here. So here we are. Bow short. 1d6, 60 feet. Okay, so first things first, the knoll is within range of 60 feet to hit Phineas, and the knoll is going to take its shot. Now, this is kind of gonna suck, but well, it is what it is. A 14. Ooh, the AC of Phineas is a 14. So the arrow does shoot and find the mark. Whew, for 6 points of damage. Ooh, that's going to hurt. This game may be over before it even starts. So Phineas takes an arrow to the back. Phineas screams out as he falls to his knees, trying to reach at the arrow, which is going to give time for the other knoll, who can move at a speed of 30 feet. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. To move in and try to finish Phineas off. Now, with this going on, let's see if the other characters awake by the sound of all this. I would definitely think they would, but I always like to roll. I'm going to say the base number for this is going to be a 10 that awakens them out of their sleep. Okay, a 9 for the ranger. Ranger's sleeping pretty hard, and a 14 for the barbarian. The barbarian jumps out of his sleeping and looks around and notices the ranger's still sleeping and shrugs him and says, "Hey, get up, did you hear that?" And begins to exit as quickly as he can out of the tent. So the ranger is still going to be stirring for a moment, trying to get awake. The barbarian has just exited right out of the tent, heading to see what the hell is going on. And of course, when he first gets out, he can see Phineas on the ground with the arrow in the back. See that Phineas is in a lot of pain. And now I'm going to go back to the initiative round. I want to see who goes first. Characters or the knolls. Definitely the knolls. The knolls get... Oh man, these knolls are just ruthless. So, first things first, I'm going to settle the archer. And the archer is going to move up 10 feet and is going to target my barbarian. Rolls a 7. Okay, so the barbarian hears the sound of the arrow passing through the tent, and his attention is broken from what's going on here and momentarily off into the darkness of that way. He knows the arrow has come from there, but he can also clearly see there is a knoll moving in on Phineas as well. So now this knoll's turn. The knoll is going to... What is he going to do? Let's see what he's going to do, because he's either going to move up to finish off Phineas, or he's going to encounter his newest threat on the board, which is going to be the barbarian that has just emerged from the tent. So let's get that settled first. Let's see where he comes in at, and I'm going to use a d6. So higher the probability of the d6, 4 through 6, he will just continue on to Phineas. So 1 through 3, he's going to head to engage with the barbarian. Rolls a 3. So the Gnoll's attention is drawn to the barbarian, the newest threat into this area, knowing that Phineas has been grievously wounded. The Gnoll makes its way over to the barbarian and begins its attack. An 8. Okay. Which was probably not a wise decision. The weapons meet, cling, and now it goes back over to my side. And first things first, let's get the barbarian out of the way, followed by Phineas as to what Phineas is going to do. All right, so the barbarian, I'm going to be using my battle axe, which is going to, deliver some much needed damage here in this current situation I am in. So let's see where we go. My melee bonus to this roll is going to be a +2, a 5. Oh man. So that doesn't work out too well. Currently, the Gnoll and the barbarian are engaged in a melee combat. At that time, I'm going to have Phineas I don't think Phineas is going to be too well at casting a spell. And currently, where Phineas is, this is just a horrible spot to be in. So I'm going to roll a Constitution save and see if Phineas is going to have enough strength to be able to get to his feet, to retreat out of this area and out of the light of this fire, and maybe try to find some cover back here and regroup, if you will. So let's see how that's going to work out. So it's good. The Constitution should get a +2 to his roll. The difficulty class of this resolution, a d20 plus the attribute modifier, check, plus the level, which will be 1. So it'll bring it up to 13. Okay, so a 13 or better to be able to pull this all off. Let's see. A 6. As Phineas tries getting to his feet to get out of the way, he drops back to his knees and screaming agony, reaching over at the arrow shaft again. That's just completely buried into his back, making it excruciatingly painful to move. At this point is when the ranger is able to move his way out of the tent, ducking and trying to keep out of the way of the weapons being swung at one another from the Gnoll and the barbarian. Now, he is unaware of the archer right down over here, but he can hear Phineas crying out in excruciating pain. So I think the most reasonable thing to do is the ranger is going to move 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 and grab Phineas and try to pull him away from the fire. So he runs over, grabs Phineas, like, man, what's going on? What's going on? Phineas is screaming, be careful, there's an archer over in this area, and begins to drag Phineas out of the way of danger. Let's go back to the initiative round, see who goes first. And I'm going to roll 2 20s to resolve this. And 1 for the bad guys, 1 for our side. Ooh, our side goes first with a 14, and the bad guys coming in at a 6. So I'm going to start out with the barbarian. He is engaged in combat with the Gnoll currently, and I want to see where he comes in at. A 17. So a 17 plus his modifier will bring him up to a 19, and he's going to do 1d8 plus 2 damage to the Gnoll. That'll be 5. The Gnolls are going to have 8 HP of health there, so now I got to get some dice out on the board. So he's going to be reduced down to 3 HP. The archer back here is still at full health. The Gnoll cries out in pain as the battle axe slashes through the armor, grievously wounding the Gnoll. Now, at this time, the ranger begins to pull Phineas, and I'm going to say, for the fact that he's trying to pull the body weight of him, and I'm going to give him half his movement. I think that's fair. Base movement of 30, which means 15. He's going to be able to move him 5, 10, 15. He's able to move him back to this area, right about here, around the back side of the fire. But he is currently blocked. The line of sight is blocked by the barbarian and the Gnoll currently fighting. So this is going to really leave only the option of one target to the archer, which is the barbarian when it comes to their turn. Phineas, I'm going to roll again and see if he can scurry to his feet, see if he makes a save this time. It's going to be a 13. He's going to get a +1 to that. I'm sorry, +2. No, Phineas is just screaming in agonizing pain, even currently. Okay, so now it goes over to the Gnolls, and the first attack against the barbarian. The barbarian's AC is a 13. Oh, a 20. Ooh, and he is currently using a battle axe, as we can see on the miniature model. The battle axe is going to do 1d8 damage. And that'll be 2 points of damage against my barbarian. Yowzers. So that brings them from 15 down to 13. And now the archer is going to fire an arrow at the barbarian as well. A 12. Good. We don't need any more damage our way. Okay, back to the 20s, rolling for the initiative to see who goes first this time. That would be an 18. That'll be our side. So the barbarian is enraged at this point. He has taken damage, and it's time to finish this Gnoll off once and for all. Oh, but not with a 6. He's not. Okay. The ranger is going to be able to move another 5, 10, 15. Get Phineas back here behind cover of the tent. And I'm going to remove the arrow from Phineas's back. So snap that sucker off and remove it. Of course, Phineas at this point is screaming his head off in pain. And it's going to go over to the Gnolls. The Gnolls will have their turn. And let's settle up with what's going on here first. A 12. Close but no cigar. The archer, a 19. Unfortunately, the archer has hit. He's going to do, holy crap, 6 points of damage. Wow. So the barbarian being so concentrated on the fight at hand forgets momentarily about the archer here, and unfortunately to him, an arrow just right into his leg. He screams, of course, in pain, limping on the other leg, trying to reposition himself and get his balance for the next attack. Oh boy. Let's see who goes first in this next round. That'll be our side with a 6. Bad guys coming in at a 3. Okay. So, various souls here. The barbarian here is going to land another attack at 14. The Gnoll's AC comes in at a 15, but with his +2 bonus to the roll, that's more than enough in what he needs. And he's going to go to battle damage resolution here. We have rolled a 3, plus his strength bonus, which will bring it up to a 5. He swings the axe, balancing on his good leg, and just whoo, and connects with the gnoll, taking its head from its shoulders, which that will take this gnoll out of the game. At this point, after being wounded the way he was, he is going to limp his way back here out of the line of sight with Phineas and the ranger. As Various moves in, holding his leg, he kneels down over Phineas and he says, I'll take care of him. He's like, there's an archer out there. Your skills are required here. I can help no longer. So, the ranger is going to equip his longbow, knock an arrow, and I'm going to have him go around the back side of the tent because he's to see if he can pull this off. He's just going to have to move silent. I don't think is, well, move silent could be used. I get a +5 to that skill roll. Let's see how this goes. I am going to roll. I have rolled a 7 +5 will be 12. Let's take a look at my primary attribute for my ranger, which is strength. Unfortunately, this is going to be a secondary save, which is actually the target number is going to be an 18. So, yeah, he's not going to be able to do it as he comes trying to move stealthily around the backside of the tent. Perhaps he steps on some twigs, something like that, that makes a cracking noise, and bringing his attention to this gnoll, which at that point the gnoll is going to grin, draw his bow, and target him. Let's see how this works. A 6. So luckily it didn't work out. As the ranger moves into spot, realizing his mistake, he does hear the arrow off into the light forests area behind him. And of course, that's going to be back to the dice roll at hand. And that will be the bad guys going first. The gnoll knocks another arrow, and once again, it tries taking out the ranger. He rolls a 3. He's unable to do it. And now, Toril Elmhurst, the elf ranger, and with his twilight vision, he can see his target well enough to be able to target without any penalties. Now, he's going to get a +3 to his attack to hit this sucker. Let's see what he does. Huh, rolls a 3. Oh, sorry, a 6. No. So, a horrible shot and pretty much a stalemate at this point. So we're gonna have to see where we move on from here. Now the knoll gets its turn again. 17. Oh man, that knoll is just hideous. 5. Woo-wee. So the ranger's gonna take 5 hit points of damage. I'm just gonna bring him down to 7 now. The ranger wounded by an arrow, but could have been worse. Could have been like the others, is able to snap the arrow shaft, throw it aside, and in a lot of discomfort and pain, grab another arrow and knock it to his bow. But let's go back to the initiative round and see who goes first. Okay, that's going to be the bad guys coming in. So the knoll knocks another arrow, draws his bow, targeting the ranger once again. But he's unsuccessful with a 7. At this point, my ranger, Toril Elmhurst, is going to target that knoll, and hopefully this is going to really change the tide of battle right here. Oh, good. And he misses. He misses just absolutely horrible. All right. And it'll be the knoll starting out again this time. The knoll rolls a 16. The ranger's AC is a 15. Unfortunately, he hits again, doing another 5 points of damage. Just gonna bring him down to 2 hit points left. My ranger is severely wounded. I think it's in his best interest at this point. He's going to retreat around the backside of this tent, trying to get out of the line of sight, and basically go back there and tell the barbarian, look, I did my best. It's time for you to get out there and deal with this, because I can no longer do it. So now, was there a different ways I could have gone about doing this rather than taking the damage? Sure, I could have dodged. And let's see what, in the case, a character can dodge up to 3 attacks in a round that originate from an attacker's, which they are facing and are aware, or if dodging, the character sacrifices their action in that round. They do not need to roll initiative, but must announce their intention before the round begins. The character cannot attack, cast spells, move, or use an ability or item. The character gains a +2 to their armor class while dodging. A character can dodge every round should they desire. So that's what I'm going to use for my next round, is he's going to try to dodge the incoming attacks. I think rather than trying to move him out of the area to where now this guy would get a free attack on him because he's leaving a combat engagement. Let's see. So then there's evade. I could use evade as well. This manual maneuver is a desperate attempt to avoid being hit by trying to dodge and parry blows against a single opponent while remaining engaged in melee combat. Well, I'm not in melee combat, so that's not going to work. If evading, the character sacrifices their action in the round, they do not need to roll initiative, but must announce their intention before the round begins. The character cannot attack, cast spells, move, or use an ability or item, but gains a +4 to their AC against the chosen opponent. But once again, we're not engaged in melee combat, which I'm thinking at this point, probably my best option for my character is going to be to try to just, if I try to move out of the area, the Null's going to get another free attack. If he does hit, he's going to get a +2 to his attack because of the fact that it's a rear attack. An attack to the rear of an opponent gives the attacker a +2 bonus to hit. Well, that's not going to be good either. But I can't leave him there because he's only got 2 hit points left. He'll be dead before too long if I leave him there. He's not going to withstand another attack from the Null. So I'm going to have to bring in reinforcements for this. So what should I do? Try to dodge the attack, giving myself a +2 bonus to the AC, or just try to get out of harm's way, hoping the Null doesn't hit my AC on a roll, getting a +2 to bonus to the roll. Well, if I was my character and I've been badly wounded, I guess what I would be looking at this point is trying to save my life at any means possible to get out of the area. So the Ranger has turned and he's going to begin to retreat back behind the tent. The Null is going to get an attack with a +2 bonus to the roll. He got a 3. That would give him a 5. So he has successfully was able to get out of harm's way and back into cover behind the camp area. Now, the Barbarian. Let me see. The Barbarian still has, well, about half his life left. So he's wounded, but he's not wounded so much to the point that he's still not able to fight. But it's going to be like shooting goldfish into a bowl, just moving him out into the area. Let me see what I can do. I think we're going to charge. So with charging, when charging, a character proceeds a melee attack by rushing with the intent of using their momentum to inflict greater damage on a defender. A charge attack results in a +2 bonus to damage inflicted, but imposes a -4 penalty to the attacker's AC for the entire combat round. The charge must be announced prior to the character moving and before initiative is rolled. So that's what I'm going to do. But his movement's going to be hampered for the fact that he was wounded in the leg. So I'm going to give him a 5-foot penalty. So instead of being able to move all of 30 feet this round, he can only move 25. So let's roll. I'm going to move him 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. He comes charging around the tent screaming with his axe drawn. Let's roll initiative and see who is going to go first. 19. Whew. It'll be our side. The other side coming in at 3. So he's going to be able to finish his 5, 10, 15, 20. he comes charging up to the knoll where he's at, and I'm going to get a +2 to my attack roll. I got rolled a 17, that hits. Now I'm going to do a 1d8, and 1d8, his normal damage is 2, so it'll be 1d8 +4. That'd be a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He comes charging in, even on a limp leg, screaming with his battle axe drawn, just right through the knoll. One fail swoop, and he has just ended the knoll's life. So the knoll no longer is. So with the imminent threat taken care of and resolved, he limps back to the camp. Phineas being extremely wounded, as well as the ranger, but they know they can't really stay in this area. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have, since the barbarian is by far the only one who can really move the best, we'll say, so far out of all of them, I'm going to search the knolls and see if they have anything interesting on them. No, their treasure type is a 1. So coins, they gotta have 50% or better to see if they have any coins on them. 18%, they have no coins. 10% for, oh, I'm sorry, I did that wrong. I gotta redo that. 50% or lower to see if they have any coins. Let's start that over. 65%, they do not. 10% or lower if they have any gems. 19%, they do not. Extraordinary items, 10% or less. 61%, they do not. And magic items, 5% or less, and I doubt this is even going to, yeah, 68%. So the gnolls had nothing worth of value or anything to the adventurers. And after that's resolved, the sun is now rising above the horizon, and day is beginning to come into full swing. Now, with that resolved, let me see what I can do with any of my resources here. Well, the good thing is Phineas does have a healing potion, which I'm going to burn up that healing potion right now. And we're going to mark that as 0. And he's going to get 1d8. Now we'll add his constitution bonus into that. 1d8 plus 2. So he's going to heal a total of 6 hit points, which will bring him back up to full health. Now, the barbarian, does he have anything? He has nothing that'll help him heal. My ranger, does he have anything in his bag of tricks? He does not. All right. So, by late morning, with their wounds tended, they decided it's time to move out of this area and try to find, we'll say, better destinations than where they currently are. And so as they travel further, they can hear the sound of a river. And with the help of Toril Elmhurst, as they're moving along slowly across the landscape by his direction, they do here. I'll just put that right there. By, I'm going to say late morning, they have moved into an area of light forest. They can hear the sound of running water from the river. And they do see a slight opening into the forested areas. And from their perspective of what they can see, looks like possibly a bridge or something else of that significance. And they decide to move towards that area to investigate. So that's where I currently am at. I'm going to say the barbarian is leading the way, followed by the illusionist and the ranger at the rear. Now, as they draw closer into the area, I'm going to roll my percentile dice, and I'm going to see if there is a random encounter in this area. %. No. Nope. That's good, though. That's really good, because I don't think I can afford another devastating combat like the one I just went through. Okay. So as they get into this area fully, walking through the clearing, they come up to what looks like an old makeshift bridge that was created by a very large tree that was going across the river. Upon closer examination, they can see that the tree over time has completely fallen. I'm going to move the camera over here so we can see a little bit better. It has completely fallen towards the center. What looks like it may have been a stone support at the center of the large down tree has since crumbled. The tree, remnants of that, I'm going to say the down tree, have broken and have just become, you know, rotted away by the ravages of time, we'll say. So looking at this possibility, they don't see a way to cross the river. The river moving through this area seems to be very deep and moving very quickly. So this is not the ideal moving, this is not the ideal spot that you want to try to cross the river at. So they decide to move further through the lighted forested areas, and within a short journey through the light forest, following a path through the light forest, I meant to say, they have come up to another clearing that they can see. And I'm going to roll my percentile dice to see if there's another random encounter here. 57%. So this is 7% above the 50% line, which means there's going to be an encounter. Now, to decide what the encounter is going to be, I'm going to go back to the Aufstrag book, And outlined in this area right here is the Fallow Hills Encounters. And let's roll on this table and let's see what we're going to encounter. There's a large amount. It could be just about anything. I have no idea, but we're about ready to find out. Rolling a 20-sider. A 9. A kobold band. Oh boy, this ought to be fun. A kobold band. So the kobold band, 2 through 5. So let's roll a 1d6, ignoring the 1 and the 6. And that'll be 2. So that should be easy enough to handle. Alright, so we got 2 kobolds currently hanging out here. I'm going to roll this reaction die. I'm going to see. Frightened. Okay, this is quite interesting. Let me get to all the specs I need. Let's go to the Monsters and Treasures table. Let's pull up the kobolds. Let's see what they have to say. Okay. So they can move 30 feet. Their attack could be a bite of a 1d2 or by weapon. As you can see, the models here I've represented. One's got a spear, one's got a crossbow. They do have dark vision at 60 feet, but they do have light sensitivity. Kobolds are small, scaly humanoids covered with a sparse layer of thin fur. Kobolds are physically unimposing creatures. They are thin and wiry and have scaly skin that sheds periodically in large white flakes. This gives them an unkempt and filthy appearance. However, they are fierce and unrelenting in battle, clever in their plans. They have independent, inquisitive minds. This makes them very successful in battling their numerous and stronger foes. They are almost never included in hosts of other humanoids unless enslaved, as they are reviled by all, reviled by all, sorry about that, and considered of little value to any save themselves. Okay, so it kind of gives us an idea of what we're dealing with here. And on the reaction table, they are scared. So as my characters come moving through the trail in this light forested area, I'm going to say as they come around a bend into the road where there is some darker shaded areas, they do see movement of these smaller humanoid creatures. Now, let me roll a percentile dice. I'm going to see if the creatures are going to try to escape the area back into the, or if they're going to stay and fight. 48%. They're not going to try to escape, but they are frightened of, because they are completely outnumbered at this point. Now, here's the other thing I'm going to resolve with my percentile dice, right? Can these kobolds adequately communicate with the adventurers? Let's roll a percentile dice. 73. They can. They can. Okay, so this encounter does not have to be a bloodshed one. This encounter can be very interesting. So, as they move up into the area, and the kobolds seem very shaken, obviously, by the presence of the characters. One of the kobolds steps up and, holding his hands up to show he doesn't have a weapon, says, "Please, please, do not kill us. We are just seeking, we are seeking a safety away from the magic, the horrible magic of these places." Okay, so now, how do I want to settle this, and who shall be the spokesperson? I think I'm going to let Phineas U. Smith, my illusionist, handle this. He is going to moves up, speaking for the group, and he says to him, "Why should we trust you? What, this could be a trap that you're just trying to lead us into. Perhaps there's something, a treasure or something you're trying to hide." I'm going to roll the reaction die to see how they react to this. The kobold kind of chuckles to himself. I did roll this on the die, as you can see, and he says, no. He says, "We have no intention on deceiving or hiding a treasure." He says, "We have gotten lost from our way, from our clan. We have traveled in the wrong direction. We have seen many frightening things that we mean no harm unto yous. We just want to leave, to get back to our clan. Please, we will help if it would please you, but we wish no we wish no harm upon you if you do not wish harm upon us." Phineas says, "So be it then. You can pass. We will not attack. We will not wish any harm upon you, but just know it that if you go back through that way, dangers do exist." They said, "We have ran into some very horrible adversaries that almost cost us all our lives last night. And even though we are quite wounded ourselves and healing from that run-in we had last night, we don't feel as if we have the strength to engage in combat ourselves currently. But by all means, you can pass and head that way. Just be warned, there's far more dangers." The kobold just nods, "Thank you," as we step aside, and Phineas kind of looks over at the barbarian, and the barbarian's eyeing him kind of suspiciously and looking at them like, "I don't know if I really trust this or not." The kobolds scurry away back into the forest, into the shadows, and head out of sight, pacing their steps quickly as if they have seen something that has frightened them very, very much. Okay. Let's leave this right here, and I'm going to pick up on this and then the next video, and we're going to move into, oh geez, I just realized that was off camera. I am sorry guys, I thought I had my camera angled to the way you could see it, but considering there's no combat, I don't think you missed a whole lot there. But we can get into that here and into this encounter into the next video, and yeah, we'll go from there. Thanks for watching guys, and I hope you enjoyed. And this is just the first video of Castles of Crusades, the Shadows of Aufstrag, and where I am going to be moving on from here and completing this map. Now, nice thing is it's Saturday for me, so I get to play through the whole thing today, but you guys will be able to watch it and glean what you can from it. All right, guys, with that being said, this is Artichoke Dip, signing off.